Anger is a part of life. Nowhere in the Bible does it say not to be angry. As humans living in a breathing body, we are bound to experience disappointments, hardships in this life, and frustrating situations that will undoubtedly leave us angry and upset. As fallen, mortal beings, we are all capable of doing and saying things in the moment that is not correct. However, as a maturing believer, it is our goal to be setting an example for others. While we may not ever be able to have full mastery of this, we should be striving to live a life of peace with others, with God, and even ourselves. We may experience anger, but it is our strive to maintain self-control that is honoring unto God. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. I love this verse because it automatically assumes that you're going to be angry, not only once, but twice. First, it says that when you're angry, don't sin. And then it also says that when you go to sleep, put your anger to rest. Once again, God created us. He is well aware of things in our life that will happen and that we are fallible people. Someone may say something to us that is hurtful or do something, or we may cause an accident such as breaking your phone or causing a car crash. There was a bumper sticker in the 1980s that summed this up perfectly, and I'm going to give you the PG version. It says, "Stuff happens," and stuff definitely does happen in life. However, in life, it's not so much about what happens, but it is how you respond. I have heard it said that only 10% of life is what actually happens, and the other 90% is how you respond. If you think that this is inaccurate, I might say that I agree with you as well. I would probably say that only 5% in life is what happens, and the other 95% is how we respond. We may get angry, upset, and disappointed, but that is no excuse to repay evil with evil or allow it to steal our communion with God. In fact, it is in these times in which we can seek God the most, and to give Him things that we cannot handle alone, and learn to rely on Him more and more and grow in ways that perfect peace and comfort cannot produce. I want to share with you an example out of my own life and how it grew me. I read in Peter that it is honorable if we are to suffer while doing good. And I remember thinking that there was no way in this world I could do that. I prayed in that moment, acknowledging that I needed God to help me do this. I knew that I wanted to apply it, but I also recognized that I was helpless to do so. A few months later, I found myself in a situation where I was being mistreated by Christians. I was being looked down on for not being as holy as they were, and they were going out of their way to attack me. I was upset, hurt, and angry, not only with them, but also with God for allowing this to happen to me. After several days of fasting, God told me to cast everything onto Him. And I did that, and I felt no different. And the next day, the same exact experience happened, and once again, I felt nothing. Yet on the third day, Christ told me to do the same thing again. So I did it, and He took away all that pain, all that hurt, all that hatred that I had in my heart. And I can sincerely tell you that I have never been the same after that day. I know God is continually working in my life with this because it is something that I prayed for. And even if He did not respond in the same way that I wanted Him to, or in the timing that I want, I know that He is working in me continually. I really want to talk about what it means to be angry from a physical standpoint. When something happens to us that upsets us, our brains send chemical reactions throughout our body. We may find ourselves having difficulty breathing or have our blood pressure increase. And in fact, our face may get flustered as well. Some of these things are literally totally out of our control. But one thing that always is and always will be in our control is our thinking. We will always have the total ability to change this in any situation, no matter how horrible it might be. So in stressful situations, we can allow ourselves to feel the pain and not feel the need to suppress it or not address it. Many people do this, and I can tell you it's not emotionally healthy. God has given us tools to help us. Breathing, for example, through your nose and out through your mouth in regular deep breaths can help you to relax. Sometimes it is best to take a minute or two and remove yourself from a situation or a person that is causing you anger. When you are angry or hurt or have a high of emotions of any kind, it is likely that you can do and say things that you will later regret. I know that I do. And it is best to collect ourselves and then move forward. Here are a few verses to show this. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. Whoever opens wide his lips comes to ruin. A soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. Finally, acknowledge that you are human and you will err. I can promise you that you are going to get angry, and in all reality, likely do and say things that you will later regret months or even years down the road when you see the effect that it can have on others. I can tell you very plainly that my mom said some things to me while I was growing up that stung me and stayed with me my whole life. And I'm also so conscious about this in the way that I deal with my wife and with my child, knowing that the things that I say and do can have continual consequences. And it is for this reason that I know I need God's Spirit in my life. I need His Word. I need prayer. Like literally, even as I wrote this down, I felt the Spirit of God coming upon me because I came in weakness. I know that the answers aren't inside of me, and I need His help. When you find yourself angered, don't feel that it is not Christian to feel that emotion. However, like the scripture says, do not let the sun go down with you having that emotion. As someone who's been married now for 3 years after being separated for 5 years from my wife, I can tell you that storing things up, hatred or bad feelings from one day to next is like compound interest on your money. It gets bigger and bigger as time goes by. This is one of the reasons why so many people get divorced these days or wind up in absolutely miserable marriages. Well, I can say I don't always accomplish this 100% of the time. It is my goal. It is my stated desire to wake up each day and give my wife a whole brand new start and to forget whatever happened the night before, just in the same way that God does for me every day. I want to suggest to you The Lies We Believe by Chris Thurman. This book really, truly taught me how to deal with emotions on an everyday basis and no longer suppress them like I used to. I used to do with many years and even turn to alcohol to helping me with those emotions. I felt such a burden lifted from me after finishing this book, and God literally manifested this book on my bookshelf at a time in which I completely needed it, and that's a whole other amazing story that I would like to share some other day. Also, please be sure to check out How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. I can guarantee that this book will help you if you apply it in your life, because it did so much to help me overcome my stress, my anxiety. It even talks in there about just letting things roll off of your back, just like rain. If we take that same concept in our lives, so many of the small things will not cause us anger or burdens like they do on a daily basis. I want to close in telling you, actually related to that a lot of things that make us mad, they really shouldn't. And the things that should make us mad, they don't. It is great to have anger at the state of depravity of this world or the millions of people who are starving and suffering and don't know Christ. While we don't need to be angry at people for their sins, we can be angry at sin itself and the power and the strongholds of Satan. When we let those small things not upset us anymore, like having to clean the dishes over and over, not that I would know anything about that, it takes our energy away from and our focus from the things that should matter more. The more we give to God, the more we can be reliant on him. The more we are reliant on him, the more we are able to be emptied of ourselves and used for his kingdom. Heavenly Father, thank you for your word, again, which guides us, which shows us like a mirror, God, that in our lives which still needs to be corrected. We know we will never be able to never be angry or never act in anger or rage or say or do things in a moment that we will regret later on. We acknowledge this, and this is why we need you in our life so much more to protect others from us and also ourselves from ourselves, because we know in this spiritual walk with you, we are often our worst enemy. So I want to pray for the listener today, God. Pray that you strengthen them. Pray that you strengthen me, that you lead us to be reliant more and more upon you, and that we will live lives that are honoring and pleasing unto you.